Monday, August 24th, 2026. It is 6 p.m. This is a committee of the Building and Utilities. I am Christy Marshall, Chair. I have Mr. Phillips and Mrs. Snee. Tonight, we are here to provide a recommendation to council regarding amending resolution number R35-2025 for the amount of the first year of the agreement with AgriSludge Incorporated for biosolids management at the wastewater treatment plant to be $950,000. Mr. Titterington.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So this is a resolution that council passed in 2025. This is the hauling of the product at the sewer treatment plant. It is a 10-year agreement. There are built-in cost of living increases that are driven by the CPI. When the council approved the resolution, the authorization was for a cost not to exceed $750,000 a year. Between the CPI and the volume increases, we anticipate that we will go well over that amount. We did anticipate that in the budget, so this is not an unappropriated issue. It is merely a restriction in the resolution, and so we are asking for an increase in the authorization only of to $950,000, which we believe should, depending on the demand, carry us through the 10 years.
Okay. I have no questions. Do you have any questions, either one of you?
I don't have any questions, just a comment that anything we can do to keep this stuff going downhill would be a great thing.
Okay. Does anyone else in the audience have any questions or comments about that particular issue? No? Okay. The next issue we have is...
What is your recommendation?
Oh, sorry. I was going to do it all together. See, I told you it's been a long time since I've done this. All right. All right. How do you wish to proceed?
Proceed as staff is requesting.
All right. We will move forward with that one. All right. The next item on our agenda is to provide a recommendation to council regarding authorizing the Director of Public Service and Safety to enter into a design agreement with Universal Construction Corporation of Cincinnati, Ohio, to commence the design portion of the Police Department renovation project and the procurement replacement windows at a cost not to exceed $675,000 following the design build contract provisions of the ORC.
I'd ask the police chief to come up.
Hello, thank you, Madam Chairman. So to discuss a little bit at first of the process that we went through, the design build process. I'm not an expert in this. I was luckily guided by our law director, Mr. Grant Kerber, and our assistant service safety director, Ms. Charlotte Colley, who could not be here tonight to discuss this. So back in 2025, we had a building study completed, and it grew to a larger project encompassing the redesign of both the basement and the first floor of the police department. It initially started as a design, and we were looking at and had on the capital improvement plan lockers for the basement because they were beginning to rust out. It has improved and grew into, because the bathrooms were starting to fail, the men's locker room, which has 2 showers. One shower is inoperable and needs work that would completely gut that shower, and the other shower is almost there too. We're also outgrowing the facility. In 1995, when it was built, there wasn't a lot of room for growth, and that facility was then outgrown. The men's locker room was outgrown in 1998 when we hired 4 additional officers, to include somebody you may know.
A little bit.
And then we had to put lockers in the hallway. Men's lockers were in the hallway at that point. So the building study that was done in 2025 led to trying to address some of these other issues. As we started to proceed, council approved $2.5 million for this year, and this is kind of the next step in that process. What we did in April is we contacted and worked with a company by the name of App Architecture to move forward with a design build process that is similar to, I guess, the one that's also being considered for the Duke Park renovations. So we advertised for the scope of work and the issuance of a RFQ, RFP on June 10th. That was put out. On June 18th, there was a pre-proposal meeting that was mandatory for anybody that was interested in submitting a application or an RFQ or RFP. And then those were due on July 7th. We were fortunate to have 8 companies submit RFQ, RFPs. And we reviewed those submissions, and the people at App Architecture helped us review that from a technical standpoint, but they didn't necessarily score them. The reviewers were myself, Captain Ornberg, who was in charge of building maintenance at the police department, and Ms. Colley. And then these were, after we narrowed it down to our top 3 based upon their proposals, we interviewed them. Looking at those proposals, both at the interview and when we reviewed them, we looked at several different things that were included in the RFQ, RFP. Probably the most important was their experience, specifically their relevant experience involving municipal buildings and specifically police departments. We also looked at their qualifications and their years of experience in that. And since this first stage that we're doing in 2025 includes the basement but also the windows, which I'll get to in a minute, we looked at their project team and we looked at their project approach. One of the important parts of this is that we're going to occupy and still run this police department as they're doing this construction. So that was important to us and how they could work with us while we continue our normal operations. After the interviews with the 3 top that we picked from the 8 that we received, we selected the best and most qualified, which is Universal. And this is the contract that I believe that the authorization would be in the amount of $675,000 to go ahead with the design work and the procurement of the windows. The design work would start as soon as possible. The windows probably will not be able, because of the lead time on those windows, they probably won't be able to be installed until the weather breaks in the spring of 2027. The contract with Universal is currently under review, and I don't believe we would proceed until that contract was approved by the law director and signed by Mr. Tennerton. To talk a little bit about the windows, we did look at the shatterproof windows or the film on the shatterproof windows in addition to ballistic windows, and the film plus the window was generally more expensive from the contractors we contacted than just installing a bulletproof window. What the proposal was is for 19 bulletproof windows on the first floor, and then the remainder of the windows, which also need replaced because we have windows, one specifically in my detective section, that do not close. And to the point that in the winter, there's actually snow that forms on the windowsill in that office, and that detective wouldn't like to not have snow on in their office anymore. But we believe that there's, and my count might be off because this was from memory, 60 windows, 41 would be the shatter-resistant windows, and then the 19 would be bulletproof windows. We would also want the frames to be bulletproof instead of, you being able to, if you're shooting at the window, there's a good chance you could hit the frame too. We don't want penetration through the frame or the window. The locker room would increase from, I believe there are 41 lockers in the locker room and maybe an additional 10 to 12 in the hallway. The total permanent lockers would be 51, plus they would not be rusty anymore. And then they would also provide outlets for all the electronics that we carry these days, your portable radio, your body-worn camera. All that stuff needs charged on a regular basis, so there would be outlets as compared to now that they're just a standard size locker. Also, if you would tour our locker room or our building, you would notice that the lockers aren't really big enough for between the uniforms and the boots and things like that, and so we see a lot of equipment being hung or sat in front of the lockers. So these would be larger lockers in addition to nicer lockers with more amenities. This would also include changes to our workout room. I'm glad and proud to announce, thanks to the efforts of Mr. Titterington and Captain Ornberg, that we did receive a grant for, I believe it was $79,000 for new gym equipment. And most of that gym equipment is original to the building, which is 31 years old. And I'd mentioned that there's been no significant renovation except for maybe carpet and paint in the basement at this point. This would also upgrade our lighting in the basement to LED lighting, saving us money with electricity, and it would bring us up to the current ADA compliance, ADA standards, to include a lactation room for the women that work in our police department.
Thank you.
Any questions?
Madam Chair, just a clarification. So the chief mentioned that this was similar to the Duke Park project. It's similar to the Duke Park process. It's not, Duke Park is a design recommendation. It followed the same process of the RFQ and the interviews and the best and most qualified standard. This process is similar to the process that we followed in replacing the park maintenance building.
Okay. Thank you, Chief McKinney.
You're welcome.
Appreciate that. I don't have any questions. Do either of you have any other questions
I
about
don't think
that?
I do it this time.
I don't have a question, but I went to my son's department a year or so ago, and seeing the upgrades, as you're talking about, in the locker room and that sort of thing, compared to when I was a cop 30 years ago, it just, the need is just overwhelming, and changes of stuff. And it's amazing that we still use gym lockers. It's incredible. And I did not understand when we started this discussion that we did not have bullet resistant or proof windows at any level, which shocked me. And it's absolutely mind-blowing that we didn't have that at the beginning. Of course,
Let's
that was
not really put that- let's
1995,
not put
which
that out
was
there.
a little different time period, but still, it's just incredible. So this, to me, this is a way overdue item. So, sorry.
Yeah,
Thank you.
crazy. Thanks. Does anybody else have any questions or comments? Mr. Schilling?
Jeff Schilling, Troy City Council. I did have a question for the police chief on the windows. Are these new windows going to be able to be opened?
Bulletproof ones will not be able to be open.
Okay, so the bottom floor won't be able to open, but the top floor,
Should be able to be.
and why would we want windows in an air-conditioned building that open?
That's just how they come, I think. We do have HVAC issues on occasion when the heat does not keep up with the outside temperature, so there are windows that get opened on occasion to relieve the heat and things that are going on. So at least having the second floor, which tends to get the hottest, it seems like our air conditioning, and I think we've discussed those issues here at council before, the challenges we've had with HVAC at the police department.
So, and that's, upgrading the HVAC system is part of the process, right? What we went through.
Not specifically to the whole, several parts of the HVAC system have been improved on in the last several years. The HVAC changes would reflect what would be needed in the reconfiguration of the space. So there would need to be a rebalancing. We're also concerned about ventilation in locker rooms because of humidity and things like that. But there's not a specific line item in this $2.5 million that was authorized for any major HVAC work. Couple years ago, replaced the cooling tower. In 2016, we replaced all the heat pumps, which is the main HVAC process in that building. And then we've replaced all the burners, the boilers.
You're on your own on this one.
I don't know where you're going with this.
The boilers were replaced last year.
Okay, great, so, and then one other comment, you got these windows from Window World, right, so they have a lifetime warranty? I'm just kidding on that. Okay, thank you so much.
Mr. Schilling, Ms. Hickman made a comment when you asked about the windows, like why they would need to be open. It is possible that it could be for safety reasons. I don't know, like if there was a fire, and I don't know if how wide those will be open, if they could get out that way, but I mean, that's a possibility. I just heard her say that, and that could be a reason, I don't know.
I appreciate your comment, thank you so much.
Sure. All right, so seeing nothing else, how do you wish to proceed?
As staff and the chief is requesting.
All right, I agree. All right, we will move forward with that. And is there anything else to come
No, ma'am.
forward? All right, we will be adjourned.